This is November 9th, 1996. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Major Don Wadley at the 486th Civil Affairs Battalion, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And this interview is classified. Okay.
I understand.
Yes. Where were you born?
Miami, Oklahoma,
And when's your birthday?
July the 1st, 1952.
When did you first join the military?
May of 1972.
Active duty or reserve?
It was active duty, sir.
Active duty. Army, Navy?
Army,
Army.
regular Army.
Why the Army over the Navy, Marines, Air Force?
Because I wanted to be a military policeman.
Did you?
I did, yes.
Where'd you go to basic?
May of 1972.
Where?
Where? Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Tell me about basic.
It was exciting. It was one of the most fun adventures I had ever been involved with. It was very similar to two-a-days at football practice, or hauling hay from daylight to after dark, except I got to do it with a lot more people. It was a challenge. It was fun to learn new things, meet new people, travel.
Who's your drill sergeant?
Sergeant Smith, Staff Sergeant Smith,
Male or female?
male.
Tell me about him.
He was the first African American I had spent a lot of time around. Very fair individual, very concerned about the performance of the people in his platoon. He got there before anyone got up, except for myself, because he caught me up a few times, which was against the rules. He stayed until after everyone had gone to bed. Very technically and tactically proficient. A good role model for a trainee.
What's your fondest memory of basic?
Weekends.
Why?
There were different ways at this point in time to have weekends off, and I was able to achieve those different milestones that allowed me to have my weekends to myself, as opposed to staying in the barracks and or doing KP or those types of activities. So I was able to have my cake and eat it too, I suppose.
What's your worst memory of basic?
The concern that I would not be able to move to the next location with my group. It was always an unfounded concern, but nonetheless, it was a concern.
So after basic, you became an MP?
I went to advanced individual training at Fort Gordon, Georgia, and became a military policeman.
Where were you sent as an MP active duty?
It was an interesting situation. The Vietnam War was beginning to wind down in the summer of '72, and upon graduation from AIT MP school, our company had a formation, and A through M went to Vietnam, N through Z went to Germany. And it was the first time in my life that having a name that fell into the end of the alphabet was an advantage.
Did you think that you might go to Vietnam?
Yes.
What were you thinking?
Well, actually, when I found out I wasn't going, I tried to volunteer. And evidently, AIT companies are not very flexible. Once they had cut orders, they refused to change them. And then I thought, well, there will be another opportunity as long as the war continues, because normally if you go to Germany, you rotated to Vietnam, and then you rotated from Vietnam back to Germany. Especially in the military police corps, that was a normal routine.
So you went to Germany.
Correct.
Where?
I was stationed at a little Army airfield called Schwäbisch Hall, about 80 kilometers east of Stuttgart. It was we had one squad that did street duty, and then we had a detachment that operated the Provost Marshal's office.
What What were your duties at this place?
Well, we were responsible for physical security, uh, uh, traffic safety. We were required to ensure that only military personnel were on post after duty hours, so we operated the gates. We performed all types of police activities.
Just on post or off post?
Well, both.
Both.
We responded to any military personnel off post who were involved in any type of criminal activity, incidents, or traffic accidents. In fact, there was one interesting situation where I was patrolling off post in my assigned area and came upon a traffic accident that involved two of our criminal investigators. One was deceased, and I investigated the accident, called the German police, and helped coordinate the traffic scene. And
how long were you in Germany?
I was there 2 years.
2 years.
During that rotation.
And when did you go off active duty?
May of 1975.
May of 75. Why'd you get out?
I thought it was time to pursue other interests in life.
Such as?
Well, I wanted to go to school, obtain a degree, and perhaps become a civilian law enforcement officer. I changed my mind after I saw what the opportunities were, because I wanted to remain in the area where I was raised, and law enforcement is not paid very well in those areas.
Where did you go to school?
Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Obtained my bachelor's and master's both there.
When did you join the reserves?
Well, of course, I was in active reserve for 3 years to complete my obligation from 75 through 78. And then I joined the Oklahoma Army National Guard in 1981 because I wanted to go to OCS and become an officer.
So you went to OCS.
That's correct.
How did OCS compare to basic?
Really no comparison. The state OCS program was performed on weekends plus 2 14-day annual training events. There was no comparison. Basic training was much more difficult.
So you got your commission when?
In July of 1983.
And how long were you in the National Guard?
I was in the National Guard approximately 8 years, and then I transferred to the reserves, specifically to this battalion, 486 Civil Affairs, and I've been here since that period of time.
Okay, what was your branch in the National Guard?
Infantry.
Infantry. So you went to infantry basic at Fort Benning?
Correct.
Why did you join the Civil Affairs?
Because it complemented what I do in civilian life, in that I work for a government agency, and I also operate a farm, cow-calf operation, small grains, and the civil affairs units are able to assist other countries in both of these areas. I can work with governments at all levels. I tend to speak their language with the technocrats, and I can also work with the agricultural populations.
What is Civil Affairs?
Civil affairs is the part of the military that performs those civil military governmental operations. We provide liaison between host nations and the U.S. forces. We also advise the ground commanders on the role of international law. We assist the ground commander in keeping the civilian populations from becoming collateral damage.
And what team are you a member in this unit?
Well, I'm currently the headquarters detachment commander, which I ensure that all the people in headquarters, which is the commander and his staff, the S1 functions, the 4, the 3, and the 2, are able to perform their missions. They're able to get where they're supposed to go with what they're supposed to have when they get there.
In a real world situation, what would your job be?
I will be normally assigned to a team as a team leader. I will, at that point, perform whatever missions are assigned. Normally they will be generic, they won't be specific to my civilian skills.
What are your civilian skills? What do you do?
I'm a vocational rehabilitation counselor. I assist individuals who have developed or were born with disabilities become an employable individual.
When you first heard about Bosnia, what was your reaction?
I like to travel. I like to do things, assist other people. I think many soldiers are social workers at heart. We want to assist other people to have the type of life and society that we have, not necessarily modeled after our governmental model, but to at least have the freedoms to choose and to be able to exist in life with the level of comfort, the level of choice that we have. We want to protect other people from injury, disease.
Did you ever think that you'd be called to active duty from the reserves?
Yes. I'm surprised it took this long.
Desert Storm. Were you called to Desert Storm?
No, our battalion was not.
Being a hostile area, what's your attitude of going to Bosnia, being a hostile area?
It's the same attitude that I take everywhere I go. I try to perform those force protection measures that protects myself and those whom I'm responsible for. I also just perform my job in a different environment. My job doesn't change, just the environment does change somewhat.
What are you expecting in Bosnia?
To make a positive difference, maybe not at a global level, but at least on an individual level. To be able to assist our military in performing their mission, which is to enforce the Dayton Peace Accords. And that when I and my team leave, that those people will remember who we were, that it'll be a positive impression, and that they will once again have the hope that they will have peace and stability.
What is the problem in Bosnia? Why this situation in the first place? What's your opinion of what's going on up there?
From the standpoint of what caused our civil war, or
Yeah.
how do you fix it?
Yeah, both.
It's just the basic problem with humanity. We tend to want what is ours and to protect that, and to exclude other people from having part of that. Sometimes humans don't understand that the more we help other people, the more we actually get. It's not an inverse relationship. It's a direct relationship where the more we give, the more we actually receive, and that's really a global thing. In that, well, but to answer your question, they don't like each other, and they have injured each other to the degree that they now will have to regain a basic trust that they had during the 70 years they were under the control of the Soviets.
It's called ethnic cleansing, but I was told it's the same ethnic group. What's your opinion on that? This term ethnic
I think
cleansing.
ethnic is in the eyes of the beholder. Look at our own country. We define ethnic in many different ways, but inside each ethnic group, they also have little rules about who really is part of their ethnic group. So it's individually and collectively defined, and it's really difficult to deal with, because we as individuals, even the United States, have, on an individual level, have to discuss that within ourselves and affirm within ourselves what our basic belief is, and then operate with other people based upon that. The golden rule works real well, and it helps us get past any ethnic prejudices that we might have.
Religion.
Yes.
In Bosnia, I heard there's a religious conflict going on.
Well, only from the standpoint of how you define religion. How religious is any one individual? It's difficult to separate the ethnic and the religious standpoint, only because the press and people in general have to have a way to categorize things. So, is Northern Ireland an ethnic or religious conflict, or is it both, or are those just reasons or excuses to not get along with other people? You can define it however you want. Obviously, you recognize the fact that there are different religions, and you try to treat everyone fairly, religion notwithstanding. You don't want to violate social customs or religious customs. Americans, I think, are really unique in their ability to do that because we're so multicultural. Even within families, such as myself, being a Baptist, my wife is Catholic. We don't discuss religion in specific terms, only in very general terms. We both go to church. We go to different churches.
How has, of course you have training on a regular basis in the unit.
Correct.
How has your attitude toward your training changed before Bosnia and after notification of Bosnia?
I don't think my attitude has changed whatsoever. My attention span has increased. Having been in the military for over 20 years, I've been exposed to most of the things that we're being exposed to during this more intensive level of training. The only reason it's more intense is that we have more time to devote to it. Our unit has always been very good at providing information on different countries. Normally before we go to a country, and we mobilize on an individual or team basis 2 or 3 times a year anyway. So we're always doing country studies and being briefed on different types of special situations.
When you listen to the news and you hear Bosnia, what's your reaction?
Well, given selective attention, I usually listen to learn if there's some information in that is consistent with what I've heard or inconsistent, and then try to determine why, if it is inconsistent, why it is, whether they have misinformation or whether the situation has changed and I need to develop more information for myself.
What will your job be in Bosnia?
This is a classified briefing.
Yes, this is classified.
I will be a team leader. I will be assigned to the 299th Forward Support Battalion and direct support. And I will work a geographic area. I don't have specific orders, so I'm not sure exactly what I'll be doing, but I assume most of those will be ad hoc missions because we're not the first unit to perform this mission. In fact, I will be the 3rd rotation. So, using that base, one can make some assumptions that there are already many ad hoc missions already developed, and I will follow up on those, working with local government agencies, individuals, groups, non-governmental agencies that have ongoing projects. I will continue to provide liaison for those between U.S. forces and host nation non-governmental agencies.
Will you be working with foreign troops in Bosnia?
I don't think I will be directly. I will have contact with them, and there may be some assigned at some point in time.
Where will you be based in Bosnia? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Not specifically. I will be in the U.S. sector.
When I say Yugoslavia, what's your reaction?
Well, I was born in 1952, so all of my concept of Yugoslavia was as a homogeneous country. We know that that country was multicultural and was developed, as many countries have been, based upon what occurred in a war. So when I think of Yugoslavia, I think of the Yugo, I think of the degeneration of a country and how that has affected all the different people within that area.
Landmines.
5 million in an area the size of northeastern Oklahoma. It's a concern.
Whenever someone mentions Staff Sergeant Smith, what's your reaction?
Positive. I always think of Drill Sergeant Smith. I've met many Staff Sergeant Smiths in the Army, but that specifically, I think, what would he do in this situation? He's always calm, always provides an aura of leadership, and that's what I would try to do.
Of course, going into a hostile area, is it a combat zone or hostile area? What's the nomenclature of Bosnia?
Well, it is hostile area in the fact that it's hostile. It's a combat zone by definition, but many times combat zone that's merely defined for pay purposes.
You're going to combat zone. What's your reaction?
Everywhere we deploy, there's potential of some type of danger to our forces.
You may get shot.
I probably won't. If I do, we have ways to mitigate the injuries. We have ways to continue the leadership. I have covered all the contingencies from a personal and a home situation, and the military will control the military side of it.
How has your attitude towards your wife changed since you heard that you were in Bosnia?
Only in that I pay more attention to those personal things because of the time constraints. Obviously I'm concerned that she will be left behind to continue to do not only her job, her civilian job, her home job, but also mine.
What would you tell your wife if you don't come back?
Just that I loved her, and I will continue to do so. Our religious beliefs, provide us a foundation that transcends what we're doing right now anyway. So we have that continuity.
Any comments you have? Any statements you want to make? Any comments?
This is an interesting situation. In a way, all military activities that the United States Forces gets involved with are a projection of the Department of State, and we are involved in this in a planned, deliberate situation to accomplish some pre-planned goals. If it ever becomes anything other than that, then it needs to cease, and we need to be redirected to another part of the world where we are actually achieving pre-planned goals.
Okay, well, Mr. Wadley, this ends part one of the interview. Part two will be when you return.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.